Hello friend, I am Naval. You are watching Code with Naval. Welcome to Java series part 60. In the last video, we saw basic introduction of multi-threading. In this video, we are going to discuss about a very important topic, that is nothing but thread lifecycle and thread state. So most of interviewer ask related to question thread lifecycle, thread state. So let's first understand what is the lifecycle. Thread and human lifecycle are similar. Human also, if you consider human lifecycle, the first step is a human born, okay, that is nothing but a born state. Then the human start doing the activity, okay, human start doing activity. In between doing the activity, every day human need to sleep sometime, okay, there is a sleep method. Sometime human want to wait, human need something, then human not get immediately that thing, okay, person not get immediately that thing. Sometime person want to wait, then sometime some refuse thing happen, some suspended thing happen, okay. This all activity in happening in our life, okay. This life cycle and our life cycle is a similar, okay. We born, that is nothing but a new state. We are doing activity, we are doing a job, we are learning, we are doing a college. This all is nothing but a running state, okay. In between doing all these things, every day we need to sleep, every night we need to sleep, okay. Every time we need to wait for something, every time we got a suspend all this activity, this resume, this suspend, sleep, wait, that is nothing but non-runnable state. Then in between doing all this activity, newborn, when we born, that time there is a possibility we born and immediately we die. Then there is a runnable and running state. In between a doing activity, that time also there is a guarantee, there is no guarantee it will survive, we will survive, or we can die that time also. Then there is a suspend, there is a non-runnable state there, for doing a sleeping, for waiting, that time also human can die, okay. That's why I am saying this life cycle and human life cycle are similar. So let's understand this thread life cycle. When we create a thread object, that time this object come inside a newborn state, okay. If we check that object state, then we got a new state. After creating object, we call start method. When we call a start method, that time it's come inside of this block. There is a two state, one is a running and one is a runnable. But if you check inside a code, there is a only one state, runnable state, there is no running state. But for understanding purpose, here we simply convert running and runnable. If there is a already running thread, if that thread already consume a processor, then whatever we call this, whatever we newborn state, then we call a start method, that thread come inside a runnable. If there is a processor available, then that thread directly start executing, depend on a thread scheduler, or we can say depend on a JVM. If there is already processor available, then start running, otherwise it will go inside a runnable. When processor get available, then come inside a runnable to running. But sometime there is already running state, one thread, we want to put that running thread inside a runnable. Then here we have a yield method. We will discuss all this method in upcoming video. You don't need to worry about this all method, we will discuss all this method. So here just we need to understand thread life cycle, okay. When a running, in between a running, we can simply call a suspend method, okay. We can simply put this running state inside a non-runnable state. For calling this method, we can call a suspend, or we can call a sleep, or we can call a wait. When we call a suspend method, then running to non-runnable state, okay, that thread go inside a non-runnable state. Again we want to put that non-runnable to running state, then we have a resume method, okay. Then we have a sleep means we put some time span. We want to put this running thread in a 1 millisecond or 1 second. We want to put this running thread in a sleep, or we can say non-runnable state, okay. Here we simply call sleep method, and after completing this sleep time, it will automatically come inside a running state, okay. Then we have a wait. When we call a wait method, it will come non-runnable, and when we call a notify, it will go non-runnable to running or runnable, depend on a processor available. Okay, for doing a newborn, running, and this block, or we can say non-runnable, it will go anytime in a dead state. If you call a stop method, okay, here you can see newborn state. In a newborn state, if you call a stop method, then it will directly go in a dead state, okay, or we can say terminate state. Then in between a running or runnable, also if you call a stop method, then it will go dead state. Okay, for non-runnable also same thing. If you call a stop, then it will go dead state. Okay, let's remember this thing. Here we have only 4 state. First one is a new, then second one is a runnable, then third one is a non-runnable. In a non-runnable, we have a different scenario. First one is a block, then second one is a waiting, then time waiting. Okay, then finally we have a terminated, or we can say died state. Okay, new, runnable, non-runnable, or died. Okay, so let's first understand one by one state. New means the thread is a new state if you create an instance of a thread class but don't call a start method. Before calling start method and after creating this instance, this thread instance, thread come inside a new state. Okay, and runnable and running is the same. Okay, this one is the same state, runnable and running. There is only runnable state we saw already. The thread is a running state after invoking the start method, but the thread scheduler has not selected it to be running thread. Okay, here we simply call start method, but thread scheduler not schedule this thread for running state. Okay, thread scheduler not assign this thread processor. That means this thread come inside a runnable. It will not. It's not running right now. It's under runnable. Then third one is the running. The thread is the running state if the thread scheduler has selected it. Depend on a thread scheduler. If you call a start method in any thread, then depend on a thread scheduler. If thread scheduler select that thread, then that go inside a directly runnable state. If thread scheduler not select that thread, then it's a waiting. It's a go inside a runnable state. Okay, and when processor get available, then thread scheduler select that and it's a come under running. Then we have a fourth one, non-runnable, or we can say block state. This is a state when the thread is still alive but currently not in a running state. Okay, here we saw in a diagram the thread is still alive but it's a suspend or wait, or we can say we put inside a block, or we can say we put inside a non-runnable state. Then finally we have a terminated. A thread is a terminator or died state when a complete thread execution or call stop method. Thread die in a two situation. First situation, when we call a stop method at any time, you can see here, if we call a newborn and we immediately call a stop method, then thread terminate. If you call in between a running, if you call a stop method, then also thread terminate. In a block state, then here we call a stop method, then also thread terminate. This one is the first scenario. And second scenario, after thread start executing and once thread execution complete, then that thread automatically terminate. Okay, there is no code remaining for execution for that thread, then that thread automatically terminate. Okay, here we saw this 5 state. Then here you can see this example. I have simply prepare one program. I'll simply explain first this program. Here we simply create a one class, okay, using thread class name. Then we simply extend this thread class, okay, and then here we create a main method. You can see this one is a main method. Here first we create an object, first thread object, okay. This using thread means using thread class extend thread. That means we can say this using thread class object. We simply create a using thread class object. Then here we check after creating this. Here we check what is the state. What should be here state? Here we simply create object and then here we checking a state. That means here should be new state. Okay, before calling start method and after creating the object, thread come inside a new state. Okay, then again we to create two more object T2 and T3 thread. Here we totally create a three thread object T1, T2 and T3. Then here we call T1 dot start method. When we call this T1 dot start method, then thread execute this run method. Okay, after starting this thread, then again we check this state, this thread state. Okay, here what should be, here should be runnable state. Okay, after that we simply call sleep method T1 dot sleep. Okay, then we check this T1 call sleep. Okay, here block or we can say block state. Okay, then we call T2 start. Okay, then we stop T2 and then here we check T2 state. Okay, here we check T2 state. T2 should be terminated. Okay, let's run this program. First we create this object. Okay, you can see here we first we create a T1 object, then we print this T1 state. Here we got a new state. Okay, it's just a born state. Here we simply create a thread and here we simply print that thread object, that is nothing but a born state. After calling this start method, thread going inside a runnable state. You can see here T1 call start. Okay, T1 call start, it's come inside a runnable state. Then here you can see we simply call a sleep method. That means we are simply putting this T1 thread inside a non-runnable state. You can see here when we call a sleep, wait or suspend, it's go inside a non-runnable or you can say block. Here three part: block, waiting or time waiting. Okay, here we simply got time waiting. That means this T1 go inside a block state. Okay, you can see this block state. T1 call sleep. Okay, after calling this sleep method, then we simply start T2, then again we stop T2. Once we call stop method, then this thread go inside a terminated. Okay, this thread terminate simply. Here you can see here we simply print T2 call stop and here we got output terminated. Okay, here we got this new runnable. Then this block state have a three scenario. Here you can see blocked, wait and terminate waiting. Okay, where we got this state. Okay, I'll show you. Simply press Control and okay, open declaration. Okay, press Control and open declaration. Okay, here you can see inside this state enum, here have a new, then runnable. You can, if you want to get more knowledge, then you can simply go inside this class and you can read this document. Okay, that Java provide. Here have a new state, then we have a runnable, then block. Okay, then waiting. Okay, then time waiting and finally terminated. Okay, so here we simply understand what is the thread life cycle and how many state involved in a thread. What is the newborn state, what is the running and runnable, what is the died and what is the block. All these things we understand in this video. Let's see in the next video, next topic. Till that, bye bye.